It's Andrew O'Donnell with Supercharged Stocks. Pleased to have Jeff Wilson here from Precipitate Gold, President and CEO. It's been a couple months. I think it was just around VRIC that we last chatted. Since there, there's been a lot that's happened since then. Financing, a partner, you name it. I don't want to steal your thunder, but there's been lots of milestones hit, and that's one of the key things I like to remind people of is if the management who's in exploration is hitting milestones, doing what they say they're going to do, doing it ahead of time, that's something serious you need to look at, and that's what you've been doing. So I'm happy to have you to kind of fill in the blanks over the last few months and tell us where we're going from here.
Yeah, thanks for having me, Andrew. I appreciate it. Yeah, it's been an interesting few months, obviously, in the market globally. You know, the whole situation everybody's fully aware of. For us at Precipitate, we did have a couple of major catalysts. One of which was, our primary asset coming into the new year this year was a project called Pueblo Grande, and the story there, as you know, was that we surrounded one of the largest gold mines on the planet, Barrick's Pueblo Viejo mine, and we had delineated a number of targets. We had brought those to a drill ready stage. We had permits in hand. We'd actually gone out and purchased our own drill rig equipment somewhat opportunistically, and we're gearing up for a drill play sort of coming into the end of the first quarter of this year. Somewhat out of left field came Barrick, and the plan all along was for us to go in and to drill those targets ourselves. But Barrick came in, we started having conversations with Barrick about a possible earn-in agreement. So it's not a joint venture. It's an opportunity for Barrick to earn 70%, no less, by spending $10 million US over 6 years and bringing the project to a pre-feasibility stage within that 6-year period. So with that's allowed us now to be, fairly well financed with that injection of capital. We have a major company, one of the largest gold companies in the world, exploring our flagship asset, or what was our flagship asset, and now able to focus our attentions both financially and manpower onto 2 additional projects that we own 100% and plan to bring to a drill stage here in the coming months.
It's a vote of confidence, and it really is good timing on their part as well to show confidence in this.
Yeah, it was sort of twofold. I think number one, we were pleased to get the validation that the ground, obviously met their threshold for them to be interested. And as I think you and I both know, major companies don't typically come in early. They're not afraid to wait and let junior companies, in some cases, blow their brains out, or in other cases, make the discoveries and then pay for them.
Yeah.
And so I think the fact that Barrick was fairly aggressive in approaching us and wanting to do a deal here, I think validated the targets that we had started to advance, and maybe they wanted to, just make sure that that was under their umbrella and not somebody else's. In this case, it's all or nothing. So either Barrick gets to the 70% threshold within that 6-year period, or they don't. And so there's no sort of in-between period here. Yeah. And so we've put some timelines into the agreement that are going to make them have to give serious thought to being active. And we're seeing that already in a news release we put out about a month ago, whereby Barrick had informed us that they are initiating work programs. Basically the minute COVID restrictions were lifted enough for them to get active in the project or on the project, they right away initiated those programs. So they're doing groundwork, they're doing some data checking, they're doing some geochem and geophysical evaluation, and they've indicated to us that the plan is to do a 2,500 meter drill program here in the first 2 quarters of this agreement. I'm comfortable with the way the deal has been structured, and like I said, the potential for news flow on that project, even though we're not operator.
Yes. And so when you mentioned as well some other projects, what else are you looking at? What's something we should keep an eye on that you're poking around at?
The project is called Ponton, and the Ponton was part of the property package that we acquired that included the ground surrounding Barrick about 2 years ago. But it was a satellite piece of ground about 20 kilometers off to the east. We, when we were doing the deal with Barrick asked, hey, can we include that Ponton project as part of this earn-in agreement? And we managed to keep that property to ourselves. We liked some of the targets from the previous data that had been generated there, and we thought that it was pretty darn close to a walk-up drill target. There was a big geochemical anomaly, all the right epithermal sort of affinities that had really been undrilled by previous operators, and we thought this was kind of the right makeup for something that we could bring to a drill stage on our own. After sort of transitioning out of Pueblo Grande, Ponton could pretty quickly become a drill play for us there. The other side of the story that's emerged here recently is we've had our Wanda Herrera project in the other part of the country since 2012 when we first entered the country. And that project is situated adjacent to a company called Gold Quest Mining. Now, Gold Quest has been patiently, for quite an extensive amount of time, awaiting an exploitation permit to take their 2.5-3 million ounce deposit into the development stage. I think we have a business-friendly, pro-mining new president who, by all indications, I think will be looking at lifelines to come out of this economic downturn through COVID. And the Dominican Republic, no surprise, heavily reliant upon tourism,
Yes.
is in a real tough economic situation right now. And so the potential to bring about some rejuvenated economic turnaround through mining, I think, is something that's being talked about more and more in the Dominican Republic and in the government. So I think that what you'll see here is Gold Quest starting to look as if they're going to get that permit at some point soon. And when they do, I think that will re-engage activity in that district, not only for Gold Quest, but for ourselves with our Wanda Herrera project, which is right next door to them. And again, that's a project that we've had since 2012. There are a great number of exploration targets there already.
That's great. You touched on something that we'd actually talked about a little bit before this, which was governance, ESG, environmental sustainability and governance. Maybe you could just touch on that, the importance of when you're in the community, you're working with the community, of just the general consensus. Because I mean, I'm around all of you guys all the time. Is that the environment is key and critical to you. I mean, we live in Vancouver. We want a beautiful environment. So this notion that people come into areas and are going to somehow cause some harm isn't the case when you talk about major or even junior exploration projects like this.
We're certainly here in the exploration business. Geologists are earth scientists. I mean, the guys that we work with are people who are earth scientists, and so they're all about the planet. They're all about the earth, and so for us, we recognize anytime you go into any jurisdiction, and again, I don't care whether you're talking about British Columbia or the Dominican Republic or anywhere else. The community and the local communities are really what matters, and so the wherever it is that they live is important to them. And so engage the local community so that they want you to be there. And then it extends out farther to things like, helping out with the local schools, or if there's some medical stuff that can be done in these remote areas to help people out. So again, at the end of the day, I mean, I think we all want to, you want to leave these places in a better position than when you got there.
Yes.
And, mining at some point or another, a deposit, if you're lucky enough to find one, it's going to get depleted and the mine's going to have to shut down. But what do you do to provide that community or country or town with the wherewithal to utilize that relatively limited benefit to something that can last longer? I think a lot of us in the sector are very cognizant of that. It's just not something in our sort of capitalistic world maybe sometimes that we talk about enough. But I think most of us have the same philosophies about that stuff.
Is there anything we should really be keeping our eye on in the next couple months?
Yeah, I mean, I think for us, we're excited about the fact that there's the potential to be drilling on 2 projects sort of between now and year end. Certainly, Ponton is a project that we are more than financed enough to pursue. We have the targets, should be delineated inside of the next 2 months. And all things going well, we get the permits in that timeline as well. We should be drilling there September, October, something like that. We will have a sequence of news releases as we kind of lay out the targets as they come together that I think will sort of allow people to see these targets unfold over time. And then, I think dependent upon access to capital and perhaps some of what happens with Gold Quest and their plight next door to us in another part of the country, we could also be gearing up for a phase of drilling there as well.
Excellent. Well, thanks so much, Jeff. I really appreciate your time. Look forward to hearing all the news flow.
Appreciate it, Andrew. Thank you.